A travel ban on US citizens has just begun, and in the next 15 minutes I will show you exactly who banned what, why the world map quietly changed this year, and why the smartest response is not panic but structure. Because hidden inside this headline is the strongest argument I have seen in years for a second citizenship or a second residence. Near the end, I will walk you through real routes, including one program that can deliver a full citizenship in roughly a year, and one rule that can keep foreign income out of the tax net for 20 years. So stay with me because the details matter more than the drama. Here is what actually happened. In late February of 2026, after military operations involving Iran began, the US State Department issued something called a worldwide caution, not an advisory about one region, a caution covering every country on the planet. American citizens abroad were told to exercise increased vigilance, to keep a low profile, to avoid locations associated with the United States, to monitor local news, and to register with the nearest embassy. In July, the caution was refreshed, with warnings about sudden airspace closures and disrupted flight routes. Now let us be precise, because precision is the whole point of this channel. A caution is not a ban. No airport door was locked from the American side. But the second half of the story is where it gets serious, and it is the half most people missed. On the 1st of January 2026, the United States suspended entry, fully or partially, for citizens of dozens of countries. That is an American policy decision, and I am not here to argue whether it is right or wrong. What matters for you is what happened next. Some of the affected countries answered with measures of their own. Mali and Burkina Faso suspended entry for US citizens. Niger halted visa issuance. Suddenly, holders of one of the strongest travel documents on earth experienced something that most of the world already knows well. A door that closes because of the cover of your passport, not because of anything you personally did. That is the real story of this year. Not one dramatic ban, but a chain reaction. Restrictions invite counter-restrictions. Conflicts trigger alerts. Alerts change how you are treated at counters and border booths, and every link in that chain lands on the same small object, the single passport in your drawer. Engineers have a phrase for this, a single point of failure. If your entire business runs on one server, the question is not whether it will go down. The question is what happens to you when it does. No serious founder would run a company that way. Yet the same people happily run their entire legal identity on a single document issued by a single government whose foreign policy they do not control. Think about what your passport actually decides, where you can fly without asking permission, how a border officer reads you before you say a word, which banks will open an account for you, and increasingly how you are treated when a crisis erupts somewhere far from your home. When your only travel document is issued by a country involved in a conflict, you inherit the profile of that conflict at every checkpoint on earth, whether you agree with the policy or not. Let me be clear about something. This is not criticism of the United States, and this video is not a political statement. The exact same logic applies to a German, a Turk, a Brazilian, or anyone else who carries exactly one citizenship. The problem is not the flag on the cover. The problem is having only one cover. There is a bigger current under this story. For decades, global mobility felt like a settled hierarchy. A handful of passports opened everything, and the ranking barely moved. That era is ending, not because any single country collapsed, but because power is spreading out. Middle powers negotiate their own deals. Regional blocs write their own rules. Technology has made disruption cheap, which means a small actor can now close an airspace, delay a route, or shift a policy overnight. For you, the practical meaning is simple. Conditions change faster than they used to, and they change in both directions. A document that ranks wonderfully today can face new friction next year. A residence permit that nobody talked about can quietly become the most valuable paper in your safe. In a world like this, forecasting is a losing game. Diversification is the winning one. Here is where we part ways with the doom merchants. There is a version of this video that screams at you to flee before it is too late. We do not make that video because fear produces bad decisions and bad structures. The healthy frame is insurance. You do not buy fire insurance because your house is burning. You buy it precisely because it is not, and because the premium is small while your hands are steady. A second citizenship or a durable second residence is exactly that kind of asset. On a normal day, it gives you options, new markets, new banks, new places your family can live, sometimes a fundamentally better tax position. On an abnormal day, it gives you something money struggles to buy in the moment, a second legal identity that lets you move, bank, and operate while others wait in line. And notice the asymmetry. If nothing bad ever happens, you still own the upside. If something does, you own the exit. Very few purchases in life offer that trade. So what should the second document look like? The answer from this year is neutral and connected. You want a citizenship or residence from a country that maintains working relationships across rival blocs, trades with everyone, and is nobody in particular in the eyes of an angry crowd or a suspicious border system. This is exactly why Turkey keeps entering these conversations. It sits at the physical hinge of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. It is a member of the Atlantic Alliance while keeping open channels eastward. Its airlines connect more of the world than almost anyone. And critically for our topic, it operates one of the few remaining direct citizenship by investment programs among major economies. A large, functioning, strategically connected country that will make you a full citizen within roughly a year is a rare thing on the current map. Let me give you the real conditions, because promises without conditions are how people get hurt. The headline route is real estate. You acquire property with an officially confirmed value of at least 400,000 United States dollars, and the figure that counts is the value in the official appraisal report, not the number in the sales brochure. You commit to holding the property for at least 3 years. Alternative routes exist at the $500,000 level, including a bank deposit held in Turkey, fixed capital investment, or government bonds. Done correctly, the process typically runs from application to passport in roughly 10 to 12 months, and your spouse and dependent children can be included in the same file. Now add the piece almost nobody abroad has noticed yet. Under a new provision of the Turkish income tax law, real persons who settle in Turkey from the 1st of January 2026 onward, and who had no Turkish residence or tax residency during the last 3 calendar years before arriving, can receive a powerful benefit. Their foreign source earnings are exempt from Turkish income tax for 20 years following settlement. Read that again. 20 years. It applies only to individuals, not companies, and only to income earned outside Turkey. Anything you earn inside the country is taxed normally, as it should be. But for an international entrepreneur or investor whose income already flows from abroad, pairing a citizenship file with this residence framework in the right order is one of the most interesting combinations available anywhere right now. The exact sequencing matters enormously, which is why we model it case by case before anyone signs anything. Maybe your goal is not a second passport tomorrow, but a foothold in Europe. That is a different tool for a different job, and Europe still offers serious ones. Portugal maintains investment-based residence routes that can lead toward eventual citizenship eligibility after a qualifying period. Greece links residence to property investment with thresholds that now differ by location. Latvia and Estonia offer business-friendly permits and genuinely digital administration. Malta runs structured residence programs inside the European Union. France operates talent-based permits for founders and professionals, and outside Europe, Dubai grants long-term renewable residence tied to investment or income. Each of these is a legitimate, functioning pathway run by a country we work with and respect. 2 honest warnings, though. First, these are residence tracks, not instant citizenships, and each brings its own presence requirements, renewal rules, and tax consequences. Second, thresholds and conditions in this field move frequently, sometimes within a single year. So treat any specific figure you read online as a headline, not a plan. When we build a file, we confirm the current numbers directly against the current rules on the day you apply. Here is the philosophy that separates people who succeed at this from people who collect expensive paperwork. Most beginners shop for rates. They see a low percentage somewhere and start packing. But a rate is just a number on a page. What actually determines your outcome is structure. Where are you tax resident, and can you prove it? How many days do you spend where? Where does your income legally arise? Which treaties connect your countries? And in what order did you exit one system and enter another? Get the structure right, and a modest arrangement protects you for decades. Get it wrong, and the most beautiful rate on earth collapses at the first serious question from a tax office. And if you are a US citizen, one more truth belongs in this chapter. Your federal filing obligations follow your citizenship wherever you live. A second passport does not erase that by itself, and anyone who tells you otherwise is not doing you a favor. An honest plan starts from the rules as they are, then builds the best legal position inside them. That is the entire craft. So what do you actually do with all this? In calm times, you plan. First, define the job. Is this insurance, mobility, tax positioning, a future home for your family, or all four? Second, choose the layer, a residence permit, a citizenship, or a stage path from one to the other. Third, sequence it. Tax residency exits and entries, banking, company structure, then the passport file, each step documented cleanly so it survives scrutiny years later. The worst results we see always come from the reverse order, where someone buys a property in a hurry and only afterwards asks what it means for their taxes and their family. The travel headlines of this year were not the end of the world. They were a reminder that the world has owners of one option and owners of many, and that you get to choose which one you are while things are quiet. If you want a team that builds these structures every day, from Turkish citizenship files to European residence tracks and the 20-year framework we discussed, the team at Corpenza does exactly this. The link is in the description. Send us your situation and we will map your realistic options. And if this breakdown gave you more clarity than the panic version of this story, subscribe, because we publish exactly this kind of analysis every single week.